So I've already recorded this once, and I'm going to record it again. Here's the idea. Yep. So you see Ozzy Osbourne's little thumbnail there. Here's the idea. The idea is that I wanted to have a drone sort of like meditation kind of like thing to listen to. I put this on my phone and I just listen to it, and it helps me go to sleep. And it also helps me just kind of like meditate and kind of like not have as much on my mind. Um, Something I used to use back in the day was this thing called the Centrillium wind chimes, and essentially what it would do is it would um, output MIDI based on the idea that like there are a bunch of chimes that are assigned to a MIDI note, and given the wind blowing, it would randomly hit one of those chimes or several of those chimes. And there were all kind of options you could make about like what kind of notes are strung on the chime and how fast is the wind and that kind of thing. And what I would do is I would hook this up to an instrument and I would trip out on it like that, and it was pretty cool. And it kind of hit a similar spot as this. This is a little bit different in the sense that instead of trying to tweak the notes that are hit and how hard they're hit and how often they're hit and what those notes are, instead it's sort of abandoning the idea of notes pretty much altogether. And basically I've been messing around with this Koala Sampler on my phone here, and the thing I just reviewed here was that one old wind chimes program. The other thing is this Koala Sampler kind of workflow, and I just showed a video of what that sounded like. Um, and what it is I start off with like like a simple like sample, wave, whatever. It could be like a oscillator or like just a sine wave tone, and then I crank the BPM in the koala down as far as it can go, and I'm starting off with this idea of tone, 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 etc. And when I first started this, I was like, that's all I wanted to do. But then as I got into Koala, I was like, okay, well, instead of just a tone, what if I like had, what if I at the same time struck three different notes, in other words, making a chord, and kind of like zoned out on those harmonics that happen in that chord. And then what if I were tweaking those harmonics by using effects? And the effects that Koala comes with are pretty neat. Reverb, talkbox, many other different effects. Um, I can sit there and just tweak the effects and essentially like have like this sort of droning kind of thing. And then now I'm back to the whole wind chimes concept. Well, I don't want to have to make this myself. And what I would love is for some sort of like random thing to happen that causes those like effects parameters to be tweaked. I'll give an example of an effect parameter being tweaked. Whenever the talkbox like slider is tweaked, you may have the tone sounding something like this, e, but then the talkbox gives you kind of like a e. So combining that along with like a reverb and dub and many other effects, you can come up with like something that it's not about it being human. It's more about it being like interesting to listen to, but still like calm at the same time. And so uh, the fact that I have to do this myself, you know, that I'm sitting here one finger at a time tweaking these parameters, and also the fact that, you know, it's something I have to do, um, leads me to think like, wow, what if I could take this same simple flow? I mean, I'm not doing anything crazy with sampling. I just really want to start with a like a sine wave or something along those lines, run some effects through it and have those effects kind of like oscillating and that kind of stuff. I firmly wind up in sort of like modular synthesis zone at this point. And I'm thinking, why do I have to have a modular synthesizer? Why can't I just write a program that does this and have the audio being output? I mean, after all, Koala is a program itself. So this whole talk is really about that. It's and there's some interesting questions that come out of that, like similar. So can I get an algorithm to do step number four, the you know go crazy with the reverb, talk box, and many other effects? But then also, what happens if the algorithm tweaks something and the output goes too loud or too shrill? Could you have like some sort of delay on the other side or something that was listening to this thing before it was ever like um, shown to the user, and then something that says, "Oh, if the tone gets too loud or there's too much change in the overall frequencies that are being played, I will tone down the frequency or I'll redo it or something along those lines." So you you get much more by having an algorithm do this job than just I don't want to do it. And really, this is really what this whole thing is about. Like, can you put it into something that's so simple, and then allow the parameters of that simple thing to be tweaked or whatever? Take a breath for just a second. Can I go much lower than Koala to get myself some algorithmic control? Because I'm not getting it with Koala. I could probably rebuild this in Fruity Loops or something similar. But like, why? Why can't I just have some API that allows me to generate a tone and then to run effects through it? And why can't I do this on the like one of my servers or something like that? So here's some potential solutions getting inspired from can I do this without Koala, and without also running to a DAW or whatever to do this manually myself. So here's the potential solutions. Um, I can start with a Raspberry Pi. I could do something inside the web, inside a browser itself with web audio, and I could do something with Node, or I could go C++, and maybe there's a library out there that lets me, no matter what platform I'm on, interact with and create audio and do that kind of thing. Um, I will tell you just a short answer: Raspberry Pi, C++, and C um, tend to fall down, or they tend to be on the end of the spectrum where it's like I don't want to be like spending most of my time trying to get the hardware figured out for this, even if it is really low level and it's not really hardware anymore. It's actually like software, but it's really low level software. I don't want to be chasing vendors around or whatever. I just want to be focusing on the algorithm. So I can say that like to that extent, the Raspberry Pi and the C++ and C solutions, they may be still something that I do in the future, and I like the idea that like when I get that figured out, like there won't be a lot of extra stack to worry about. But for the time being, I don't really love those ideas. The web seems to be like the farther like the farthest extreme, opposite that, and in the sense that like I don't want to be tied to the browser, and like not be able to do this like with a lower level kind of thing. Like I would love to be able to run it on a server somewhere and have this thing chunking away, plugging away at making me some cool drone music to listen to. Um, so the web kind of scares me a little bit in that sense, but the web does make me happy in the sense that like there's a web audio API and there are like people who write software for the web. So there's the two extremes. Node.js seems to be somewhere in the middle, and I may actually go down this path. Um, there's more that I can go into when I start talking about Raspberry Pi, but I've already recorded this one time, and I don't want to record it again. Um, so suffice it to say that like there are people building synthesizers on the Raspberry Pi, and I don't feel like anybody's working to an API that's as simple as web audio. I'm not certain that web audio is going to get me everything that I need, but like I do think I can deal with like a PCM stream if I have enough to like let me create that PCM stream. And PCM streams are like fairly fairly I think common. I don't think that's gonna be hard to get to. Um, anyways, so that's the summary of all this. I'm going to repeat something I said earlier. I would like to go in more this time to talking about the Raspberry Pi solution and talking more about the C++, but I'm actually at this point getting kind of frustrated with the whole like researching the thing. And I why I'm frustrated is because like when I get the idea, I want it to immediately be able to like start working on the idea, and that's just unrealistic in the sense that like I don't often like generate tones and do this kind of audio processing, so it's going to take a little bit of a ramp up for me to like research and find the sweet spot. Anyways, I have to do the solutioning, and that's kind of a bummer because I wanted to go ahead and start working on like a demo, getting it going, and I didn't really get there. So a little bit frustrated by that, and I'm already to the point where the research part of it is kind of wore me out a little bit, and I don't want to go any further with it right now. The other thing that I'm slightly frustrated at, and I mentioned this in an audio recording I made earlier, is this idea that like just typing this out doesn't really capture the narrative. Just recording it on audio doesn't give me the ability to say, "Hey, look, this right here is what I'm talking about," or to play, something from a browser window that I have elsewhere. So I don't really know what the ideal solution is for like trying to communicate this stuff, but for now, I'm just going to record this. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I'm going to put it as a link somewhere near the bottom of like this is me talking about all of this and making this make sense. Maybe in the future I'll find that perfect combination of like audio visual tool that help note taking slash tool. But for now, I think this is gonna have to do, and I'm gonna leave it there.